this better set of, better condition for women in general, and that it is not necessarily something that is opposed to men. Of course, some people will find, there will always be pushback, because whatever challenges the status quo will always be scary to some people. People would always want to hold on to their privileges. So I'm supposed to read, I think, 3 excerpts, but depending on how much time I have, I may just read 2 and talk to the third one. Feminism, feminismers, and mobilization. So I tried to choose excerpts that I thought perhaps spoke to this slant in the discussion. So I'm going to read first from a short story of mine called Written in Stone. It's the last short story in the collection, and I'm actually reading from the end of the story. Just to give some background, it's about 2 narrators, 100 years apart, and there's a warrior queen from 100 years ago who ruled, who was a warrior, and who speaks to the present and helps to light a path in the dilemma facing the contemporary narrator. So I'll start from the end. And the cave had the air of time distilled, steady and without hurry. Its walls carried a thick layer of dust which resembled cotton wool covered in soot. I looked all around, remembering how I had got here in the first place, what I was going to do in Genji, but now I would go for a different reason, or perhaps it was not all that different. I knew from the warrior's tale that my fiancé was one of the descendants of Oshewa. It dawned on me that I had no wish to claim my lover back from his new flame. Who wants to marry a man that shall never sleep? Not me. I was going to Genwi to expose a century-old injustice, to show how the town's ruling houses tricked and betrayed a noble woman to take her throne. But how easy would this be, I wondered, a little girl like me against the might of Genwi Palace? Then the image of my parents driving off to the political rally flashed in my mind. I smiled, my confidence returning. If I must take on the Genwi dynasty, then it would not hurt to be the daughter of the most powerful politician around. The lioness spoke of the oral history, corroborating her account. The library where I worked would also have records of the 100-year wars that waged in these lands in times past. The cast engine had cut off. Would Teniola have the courage at last to walk up the steps of the plinth? No matter, I shrugged. The important thing was to take what evidence I could from this cave. But who would believe the dream of a girl who fell and hit her head? Doubt crept in. Then I remembered the camera in my bag. Clambering quickly onto my feet, I took off my sweater, grateful for the cream blouse I had underneath. I was thankful for the sweater also, because how else would I have survived the cold of the night? I didn't care. I'm fine, Teniola, I'm fine. I was surprised to hear my voice ringing out. So happy I could hardly feel the pain all over my body. My eyes widened, seeing compressions in the wall right under the opening above. I can see steps to lead me out of here, I shouted. There's a way out. Quick, I muttered to myself, frantically swinging my sweater around the circular wall of the cave, swiping at the woolen layer of dust. Puffs of dust floated into the air and turned to gold, swirling in a filmic reel of light that slanted down the plinth. I swiped some more. Scratches of writings crawled into the rock began to reveal themselves, as if happy to be unveiled at last. When I had uncovered enough to be sure that my eyes were not deceiving me, I dropped the sweater, panting. I could feel beads of sweat forming on my forehead. I bent down to retrieve the camera from my handbag. My pink skirt was now a patchy brown from the dirt. I did not mind. I straightened up with the SX-70 poised to strike, smiling in awe as my eyes rested on a square of writings, the camera shaking slightly from my trembling hands. Bright sunlight streamed from the opening high up behind me, flashing past to illuminate the spot that had my attention. The shadow of my head joined the writings on the wall surface, seeming to marvel at the sight. The inscription on the wall before me read, "In this, the year 1879, I, Adenike Oboma, agreed to settle all the tax debts owed by my late husband's kingdom to the great empire, and in return I am entitled to wear the crowns of Oduduwa, which reside in Ibile. But the three elders, Oshewa, Oshewo, and Oshewi, having made me pay what I did not owe, cheated me of my entitlement and denied me my throne. These people, they shall never sleep again." And that's the end of that, in which I think we could look at issues of leadership, sharing ideas. There's writing here, writing, through excavating the experiences of women from the past in modern times. And in 2015, after this book had come out actually, I came across this small field study to Oyo State. There's this town called Igboho, and actually an Alafin of Oyo, who was female, called Oronkoto, had ruled in Oyo back during the time of the Oyo Empire. But that's been suppressed through history. Very few people know this. And so I think in fiction like this, we try to challenge the general conception out there, get people to actually think and question, and also excavate the voices from the past, experiences from the past. Now, the few accounts of this particular Alafin of Oyo, the story is told that she was the only female heir to her father, and she supernaturally changed gender into a man in order to assume the throne with male genitalia, everything. Well, I suppose a trans identity perhaps before there was one. Whereas that's part of the obfuscation of history, of patriarchy, because to hide the fact that this was actually a woman, it was easier to sell it as a woman that turned into a man so that she could. So we're writing within this context where it's a tradition that in mythology actually idealizes female power, idealizes the figure of the woman. In Yoruba cosmology, I'm speaking bad English now, the tripod on which the world rests, the mothers, and we're not even talking about physical everyday mothers here, the metaphysical mothers. They're important. Before a Babalawo can call up the powers, he must salute the mothers. So it's a culture that actually venerates female power. But in contemporary society, you now see the woman being downtrodden. And so I think it's important to interrogate what has gone on before in order to show a way to say to the world as we're in today, society now, that it's not actually not new, the idea of women aspiring to leadership positions. It's interesting that Ngozi Iweare mentioned NCWS. I lived in Abuja for 4 years, and I saw the NCWS in action a lot. And a lot of the issues, I feel we even need to interrogate the language that we use to talk about leadership when it comes to women. So you would have this political rally, and the women would all come all dressed up like butterflies, and they would just dance and sing. And it seems to me that to a large extent, that was the extent of women's participation in politics. They would dance and maybe get some money for their efforts, and they went home. And the few, as you said, wives, children, and courtesans of powerful men would get these token positions in government, and whenever they had their hands on the camera, on the microphone, they would say, "We want to thank the men for allowing us," and it always used to drive me mad. "We want to thank the men for letting us, for giving us this." At the time, it was 35% that they had or were aspiring to, and that language always bothered me. The fact that women needed to thank the men for letting them even go near leadership positions. So those are some of the issues that I think that I am exploring in this particular short story. But essentially also, someone was talking earlier about not being able to draw on the activism of the women groups that went before. It's also, I think, intergenerational. There's a narrator from 100 years before talking to this one who has now decided as a result of this and risque but tame. Yes. Okay. The corporal sits to my left. So Kelemo's woman is set in a military coup, in the immediate aftermath of a military coup. And to me, it's a feminist narrative because I grew up in the era, as many people here, I'm sure, in the era of the military years, military coup after military coup, and the imagery is singed in my mind of this person suddenly on your black and white TV at the time, usually with the black goggles, and who's reading in halting English about how, you know, martial law is now in place. So, and it's a male story. I've always seen it as the story, a male-centered narrative. And so part of my motivation in writing about women's issues is bringing forth the voices and experience of women, centering the female voice. So I place a woman in this narrative, which ordinarily would just be a story of men. So she's the one telling the story, and this again is towards the end. The corporal sits to my left, his helmet garnished with shrubbery like he's been fighting in some bush. Yet all he has confronted in this coup so far are the likes of me. The ridiculous posturing amuses me, but I discipline my expression into blankness. I remember his boast to another soldier in the school compound in Nimke, unaware that I was already inside the jeep and could hear. They laughed on the other side of the canvas as he said in broken English, I just did take the girl to go play with him. I go fuck him, and after that I go drive and come out. I am the sexual plaything to be driven out once he is done with me. I smile. If only he knew, the corporal, that I view our agreement with as much derision as he. If he knew of my deal with his superior, a deal I negotiated at my shrewd best, on my knees, alone with the brigadier behind the closed door of the headmaster's office. The brigadier's fly was played open in front of me, and he gasped as he gave in to spasms. He touched the nape of my neck with such longing. His wedding band was cool on my skin. He promised me everything I wanted and more when I rose to meet his eyes. I had a degree in biology. I needed a job. No problem. The state's commissioner of education had just lost his job. A woman would be a progressive choice for the important post. A fresh young face untainted by the corruption of the ousted government. A good way for the military junta to reassure the masses, to show that soldiers in government can bring fresh ideas. The brigadier's family lived overseas. He was not in the habit of going drinking or whoring with fellow officers. His quarters in the army cantonment were spacious but lonely and could use a woman's touch. I always had a fascination for a certain caliber of officer, I told him. So, this one, I think, well, I've already explained, 5 minutes, I've already explained, I think about putting a woman in a male, in what would ordinarily be a male-centered story. But also, sometimes people say to me, oh, because she betrays her activist, the male lover, the activist, and people say to me, oh, she doesn't get her comeuppance in the story. She's a bad woman. But a woman doesn't have to be an angel. You know, so I think that's part of the message we need to put out there. A woman should not necessarily be held to a higher standard than a man, which something we saw, you know, apologies for going outside this milieu, but something we saw in the US elections recently. A woman, she does not have to be an angel. She can have the same fallibilities as a man, and that should not negate the fact that she has a right to aspire. And women should, should not be held to a higher standard. So the third story that I would have read, Girl on the Wall, is very short, but I think it's about many things. On a basic level, it's about a girl who she was sent into virtual slavery so that the mother could get the collateral. Yeah, she was collateral for money that the mother loan taken, so that the mother could send the brother to give the brother a good education. So the girl's future is sacrificed so as to educate the boy. You know, there are issues there about education of the girl child, and about something Ngozi said about women sometimes being the ones carrying out the widowhood rights, the female genital mutilation. So sometimes women police women because we're all conditioned. And one way of addressing that is to raise boys and girls from, that's why I'm very interested in what you're going to say, to raise them from childhood in such a way that this conditioning that reinforces patriarchy is whittled down, so that about gender roles, that because you're the girl, it doesn't mean you have to sweep the floor and your brother can put up his feet and watch football. No. So it's about how we raise children from youth. And then also, this girl, after being rescued by her brother, they're grown up now, she decides to go back to the place where she had been before, where he believes that she was enslaved. But it's her own notion of freedom. And you know, I think that's an argument for self-determination, that a woman can decide, okay, if she wants to cover her head, if that's her own notion of freedom in a particular context, because these intergenerational debates that we're having, it's occurring elsewhere also. You have in other parts of the world, in the Middle Eastern countries, for instance, women that did not cover in the 1970s, their children are now willingly covering, and you can interrogate, why is this happening? So self-determination, a woman to be able to decide, okay, this is what I want, this is what I represent, this is who I am, and for that to be allowed to stand. Thank you.